Here's why Apple's self-repair program just kinda sucks. The lords of self-repair, iFixit, themselves have criticized Apple for making self-repair way harder than it has to be. For instance, if you want to replace the battery in your M1 MacBook, which is, by the way, just a part that is gonna age and get worse in a few years, you pretty much have to disassemble the whole computer, follow the steps in a 160-page manual, and have to pay around $600 for a new battery. Why is the battery so expensive? Well, it's because you can't just buy a new battery, you have to buy a new battery along with a new top case as well. Personally, I think Apple doesn't really want to make self-repair all that easy and instead make it frustrating and costly enough for you to just not even attempt it and just buy a new machine. Okay, now I've been kind of a little bit tough on Apple. You know, iFixit has also praised Apple for implementing a self-repair program at all. To which I would say, no, not really. Apple did not want a self-repair program. They don't actually want you to repair your devices. They want you to buy their new devices. They want you to spend money. They're a company. They want to make money. They're legally obligated to their shareholders to make money, make as much money as possible. And people fixing their own devices versus just buying a new device, you know, obviously if they buy a new device, Apple is going to be getting a lot more money from that. You know, the real reason why Apple has a self-repair program at this point is because they were just pressured into it. You know, right to repair movement has been gaining a lot of steam, and you know, especially Apple has always been like, oh, we are so eco-friendly, look at this, we use like recycled aluminum or like whatever, whereas, you know, they've literally been designing their computers and everything in a way to where they are not repairable. So then they just go to the landfill, to the junkyard, because nobody can fix them. And instead people need to buy new devices. You know, like literally the most important thing about recycling is to reuse things, you know, and they just don't allow you to do that. If you're more interested about that, if you don't believe me, you can watch someone like Louis Rossmann. I mean, for many years at this point, you know, Apple doesn't make like individual components on like the motherboards available. So if you actually took your MacBook to a repair technician, and if they just need to replace a chip on the computer, they can't just order that chip from Apple or anything because Apple doesn't make it available. You know, the factories that manufacture those chips are also, you know, told by Apple to not sell them to anyone else. So what technicians have been doing for many years is they've just sort of collected a lot of not working, not repairable MacBooks, and then they basically just take the few working chips from that computer, and you know, with that they have, you know, some used parts that they can take and repair a new computer. And you know, this is absolutely just insane and idiotic. You know, the thing that if you want to replace a battery on your computer, you literally have to buy the entire top case as well. I mean, how wasteful is that? You know, why would you need to replace your top case? It makes no sense, and you know, everything's just way more complicated than it needs to be. You know, and to be really eco-friendly, what they could actually do is design their products so they're actually repairable in an easy way. You know, my old MacBook Air 2012 model, it was very easy to replace the battery on that. You know, I just popped the bottom lid off and just disconnect the battery, unscrew the battery, replace the battery, and that's pretty much it. You know, and here, you know, they give you a literally like a 160 plus page manual to where you have to disassemble, take off the entire top of the computer and stuff like that. Whereas iFixit, you know, also has their own repair steps, and you know, they show you a way to do it by basically just removing the top case, which is obviously a lot better. I didn't understand that. Cool. Bixby, very amazing technology. So yeah, that's just, you know, some of my personal issues with Apple. You know, the same thing goes for my MacBook Air 2012. You know, it has soldered RAM modules onto the motherboard, which would really have made the MacBook so much thicker, so much, you know, worse if you could just swap out the RAM, because, you know, it has 4 gigs of RAM and a dual-core i5 CPU. If I could just add more RAM in, it's still a pretty good just web browsing machine, right? And another thing is, you know, the SSDs. For many years they've been doing this. My MacBook Air 2012 has a normal SATA SSD But the thing is, they use their own connector. So you can only have SSDs with those connectors. Whereas, in the PC world, you buy a laptop, like that ROG laptop I actually don't have in the back there, but for instance, my ROG laptop, it just uses standard NVMe interface. I got an SSD with that machine. After a few years, I upgraded the capacity. You just go to the store and you just buy a new SSD. And of course, I'm joking, you go online and buy a new SSD, but you know what I'm saying. So Apple, some people praise them, some people don't. I'm not impressed at all with what they're doing. I wouldn't mind it, so much if they weren't always all about how environmentally friendly they are. They really brag by being so environmentally friendly, but you're really not, because you are sending a lot of your devices to the landfill instead of actually making it possible for people to repair them.